Morning.
Morning.
This is the County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, March 28th. We'd like to start a meeting this morning by asking Dennis Childers to come forward for our invocation with God's Kitchen, and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Larry Harvey. Please stand if you can.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you so much for a country we can live in, or we can have government and have prayer before government. Father, we pray for each one of these individuals behind the desk up here that represent this county, Father. Just pray for wisdom today and throughout their tenures as they lead us. Father, we can't come before you today without remembering those, Father, that were involved in the shooting in the school in Tennessee. Father, just be with those folks. Be with law enforcement up there, be with families and the administration school, and those, Father, that in the southern part of our country has been going through this hurricane and tornado situation. Father, we pray for wisdom there as well. Thank you for the law enforcement in this room. We pray for them as they put their lives on the line for us every day. And be with them, Father. We pray for leadership today, civility. We pray for the people that are going to be presenting their cases and their ideas before this group. That you give them clarity of speech and clarity of thought. Thank you, Father, for a government we take seriously and we can bring before you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Childers, and thank you, Commissioner Harvey. The chair will entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes as listed on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the 2 minutes that are listed in our agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I have it. Motion carries unanimously. We're going to, well, we've got a 9:05 certain time on our public hearing, so on both the next public hearings. So I think what we'll do is recess for 2 minutes. We're going to reconvene the County Commission meeting, and we're going to move into the Planning and Development public hearing. Case number PV 22-004. Is that you, Joe? Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Joe Searley, Planning and Development Services. This application is a plat application submitted by the Largassi family. It's to vacate a portion of the Gem City Improvement Company's plat of Orange City Mills, recorded on July 26, 1912. The applicants are Clayton and Christy Largassi. The location is Orange City Mills subdivision is located south of State Route 207 and north of East Cracker Swamp Road along the north side of Carr Road. The future land use is agriculture, and the zoning district is agriculture as well. The Orange City Mills subdivision was platted for 69 lots, with each consisting of 4 10-acre tracts. The word, since it was platted so long ago, the word lot in this sense is synonymous with the term block that you would normally typically hear relating to a subdivision or a plat. So the overall plat consists of a total of 38.8 acres. The applicant owns lot 43, which consists of 4 10-acre tracts, and they're requesting to vacate those 4 tracts of land associated with lot number 43 and return it back to acreage. Here is the Orange City Mills subdivision plat. As you can see, the highlighted area in red there is their portion or their lot that they will be vacating. Yeah, so additionally, the proposal would not vacate any street right-of-ways. It's just those 4 tracts of land. If approved, the lots will become acreage and subject to density requirements of the agricultural future land use designation in the agricultural zoning district. Staff is recommending to approve the vacate the portion of Orange City Mills plat as it complies with all statutory requirements outlined in Florida Statute Chapter 171-101. That concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Does anybody have any questions of staff at this time? Is there anybody in attendance that would like to speak for or against this case? Seeing none, I'll close public comment and the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of case PV 22-004.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Case number PD 22-002, Joe.
Once again, for the record, Joe Searley, Planning and Development Services. This is an amendment to the zoning map to change it to a PUD. The applicant is Marco Bello. It's a 5.19 acre parcel located south on US Highway 17 in Crescent City. The request is to rezone the commercial general C1 portion along State Road 17 and the agricultural portion towards the south to planned unit development for the construction of a tire changing facility. Proposed PUD rezoning consists of two vacant parcels. One parcel is 4.36 acres. Second parcel is 0.83 acres. Both parcels abut South Highway 17 and have commercial light C1 zoning along the roadway. And the southern portion of the parcels maintain an agricultural zoning designation. The current zoning designations would not allow for the passenger vehicle services limited to tire, battery, and oil change use category or the tire change facility. The parcels maintain a commercial future land use category, which would allow for these commercial operations, hence the need for the rezoning. This segment of South Highway 17 consists of large nodal areas of contiguous commercial land use and commercial zone properties that foster various neighborhood commercial uses. Here is an aerial of the parcel, of the 2 parcels. That portion along State Road 17 is the portion that's zone C1, as you'll see in the zoning map right here. That red area along State Road 17 has the commercial zoning, and the green portion in the rear has the agricultural zoning. As you can see, the land use is commercial, as it is in the surrounding area across the street and to the west. So the current zoning designation of C1 and agriculture does not allow for a tire changing facility per section, Land Development Code section 4572 and 4581. The agricultural and commercial C1 zoning designation do not allow for this use. Therefore, the tire changing facility is permissible in a C2 zoning. However, the parcels are located within an area of high aquifer recharge. Therefore, it was determined that the rezoning to a PUD was more suitable zoning district to further mitigate potential impacts on that high aquifer recharge area. Additional mitigation for increased traffic or compatibility issues would be addressed at the Development Review Committee stage of the review process. So subsequent to this, it would go through a DRC and be routed to all various departments to review access points in parking, those kind of things, and infrastructure improvements. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval to this board of this proposed PUD on February 8th, 2023. And staff recommends approval of the request to amend the zoning designation from C1 and AG to planned unit development. And further mitigation was provided within the development agreement for the high aquifer recharge area, limiting the types of uses to only tire change facility and battery changes. And there is a prohibition for no oil on site due to the high aquifer recharge area. But staff is recommending approval of this, and I'm here to answer any questions as well as the applicant.
Is there any questions of staff? Okay, seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak for or against this case? Seeing none, I'll close public comment on this, and the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the PUD 22-002.
Second.
The recommendation is the proposed development is compatible with existing land uses and consistent with the requirements.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're going to move into the Public Works public hearing on the vacation of a 10-foot easement in Interlochen. You gonna do that one, JR?
This is the one that, I think it was February 28th that you guys approved to move forward. It's a drainage easement on Himalayan Street in Interlochen that currently somebody's portion of their home is in the middle of, is not being currently used. So staff supported with the vacation of the easement.
Okay. Have we heard this? We've heard this one previously.
Yes, sir, it's just for the public hearing.
Okay, so we heard
Yes.
it and approved it, and now we're doing the public hearing to be able to finish it up.
That is correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any questions of staff at this time? Seeing none, is there anybody in attendance today that would like to speak for or against this particular vacation of easement? Seeing none, I'll close public comment on the item, and Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the resolution 2023-031 approved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Rich, do we need to actually read the resolution? Not on this one? Okay, all right, thank you. Is there any further comment? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. We're gonna move down to presentations and move to 5A, and we're going to ask Commissioner Wilkinson if she would meet Ms. Cotter at the podium and read the resolution.
Putnam County Proclamation 2023-033, Child Abuse Prevention Month in Florida. Whereas Florida's bright future depends on the healthy development of its children, and whereas adverse childhood experiences, including the abuse and neglect of children, can cause severe and costly consequences for children, families, and society as a whole. And whereas every child has a right to a safe, healthy, and happy childhood where they are educationally and developmentally on track. And whereas research shows that parents and caregivers who have support systems and know how to seek help in times of trouble are more resilient and better able to provide safe environments and nurturing experiences for their children. And whereas it is vital that individuals, businesses, schools, and community organizations make children a top priority and take action to support the physical, social, emotional, and educational development and competency of all children. And whereas during the month of April, Prevent Child Abuse Florida, in collaboration with the Governor's Office of Adoption and Child Protection, the Florida Department of Children and Families, and the Ounce of Prevention Fund of Florida, implements Pinwheels for Prevention. And whereas Pinwheels for Prevention is a statewide coordinated campaign aimed to increase awareness of child abuse prevention efforts by encouraging healthy child development, positive parenting practices, and community support. And whereas the blue and silver pinwheel displayed in this campaign symbolizes the health and happiness all children deserve. And whereas Child Abuse Prevention Month is an important opportunity to urge all Floridians to engage in activities that strengthen families and communities and that provide the optimal environment for healthy child development. Now, therefore, we do hereby extend our support. Done, ordered, and adopted this day of, I wasn't supposed to read that, oh well. I recommend approval of proclamation number 2023-033.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mary Ann, would you like to say something?
Thank you all so much. This is Christy Gillis. She's she's DCF. So the two of us are together hosting the child abuse prevention event. And I did want to say, again, as always, I really thank the commissioners for supporting us in our efforts to prevent child abuse. And also, child abuse statistics are staggering. I mean, Florida alone had over 4 million child abuse reports this year, or in 2020. And almost 23% of those, the children went into foster care. So it's, needless to say, it's everybody's job to help prevent child abuse. So what we are doing this year for April, as I think I mentioned last time, is we're having a child abuse prevention event, and I'll give you all flyers, and I'm urging everyone to be there. It's April 5th from 3 to 6. We'll be having a big block party at 1910 Reed Street, and we have lots of things. We have food trucks and band and rock painting and just all kinds of things, Bikers Against Child Abuse. So we have a really big event planned for everyone, and I hope everyone will attend, parents, families, getting information about how to help prevent child abuse and what resources are there for families and for kids. So again, thank you all so much, and I'm going to leave you all with some flyers for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Ann, would you come up here and let us get a picture? Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I'd just like to say thank you for everything you guys are doing, and as someone who serves in 3 different organizations in the community that are child-centric, I would like to ask if there's a way during some of these things that you're putting together through Child and Family Services, one thing that's not consistent across the different organizations, and I know some churches and then some ball things, is basically the consistency on what mandatory reporting is, because anyone that basically is coaching or is serving with children is a mandatory reporter in the state of Florida. A lot of people that serve in that capacity don't understand that. If we, as part of this education process, can get that out there, we're doing that in several organizations, but there is no set of, or if you have it, there's no set of guidelines unless you go search for them that are available. So if that could happen and maybe distribute it to local organizations, that'd be fantastic as part of this awareness.
And as the Department of Children and Families, and as you stated, everyone's a mandated reporter, we do have trainings that can be offered to various organizations, and we can also offer support. For example, the school system has their own training, and we can offer additional support to those organizations. So if anyone is looking for that, the mandated reporter training, Department of Children and Families is happy to provide that training. We can do both in person as well as online.
And one of the things that, what we always say is if you see something, say something. It may or may not actually be child abuse, but if you think that it might be, don't hesitate to call. We can always, they can always say, investigate it and know that it's not. But if anyone sees anything, they should say something.
And I've had to make a couple reports in my time, and it is anonymous. You don't have to put your name to it, so
Correct.
just so people know you are covered and safe from any repercussions and things. So
That's
thank
correct.
you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, can we meet them right up front here for a picture? Okay, we're gonna move down the list of presentations to item B. Commissioner Harvey, if you would move to the podium, please. Is there anybody here today from Water Management? Would you please join Mr. Harvey at the podium?
Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners, staff, public, Putnam County Proclamation Number 2023-034, Water Conservation Month. Whereas water is a basic and essential need of every living creature, and water conservation is becoming more critical across our great state. And whereas the state of Florida, St. Johns River Water Management District, and Putnam County are working together to increase awareness about this importance of water conservation. And whereas residents are encouraged to keep their home leak-free by fixing broken sprinkler heads and repairing dripping faucets, toilet flappers, and shower heads. And whereas Putnam County and the state of Florida has designated April, historically a dry month when water demands are most acute, as Water Conservation Month to educate residents about how they can help save Florida's precious water resources. And whereas Putnam County has always encouraged and supported water conservation through various educational programs and special events. And whereas every business, industry, school, and resident can help by saving water and thus promote a healthy economy and community. Now therefore, we, the County Commission of Putnam County, Florida, do hereby proclaim April 2023 as Water Conservation Month and call upon each resident and business to help protect our precious resource by practicing water-saving measures and becoming more aware of the need to save water. Done, ordered, and adopted this 28th day of March of 2023. Mr. Chairman, I move approval of this proclamation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Would you like to say anything this morning, or?
Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for the declaring April as Water Proclamation Month. This is the 25th year of city and counties trying to educate their citizens on the best way to conserve our most precious resource. This year, we're focusing on leak detection. We've all been there. We have all had it on our honey to-do list. They have, hey, the faucet's leaking. Or, you know what, the toilet never shuts off. Or the shower head's leaking, and we've all worked on them. It's important because we got 1,100 people moving into the state of Florida every day. It's really putting a demand on our water resource. So anything we can do to conserve water and to push back the infrastructure, which costs so much to do water, wastewater, whatever infrastructure we need, and it's very expensive. So once again, thank you very much for proclaiming April as Water Conservation Month.
Thank you. Are we able to work on air conditioning still, or? Okay. All right, next, I'd like to request the Honorable Sheriff Gator DeLoach if he would come forward for his presentation.
Good morning, Commissioners, staff members, and those seated in the gallery today. It's my pleasure to be here before you today to honor not only one of our own, but the family of someone who was touched very deeply by him. So before we begin, I'd like to invite up Calvin Miller and his family, his mother Christina and his father Jacob, as well as Deputy Hunter Jones, his wife Lauren, and Sergeant Nick Vieira to join me at the podium. So on November 4th of last year, Deputy Sheriff Jones responded to a cardiac arrest involving a 3-week-old infant child. Upon arrival, Deputy Jones immediately began CPR on the infant. During the time he rendered life-saving measures, the child became conscious briefly, but fell unconscious again. Deputy Jones immediately resumed infant CPR until he was relieved by Putnam County Fire Rescue, who transported the child to Florida Putnam Hospital, where he received medical treatment before being transferred to Shands UF in Gainesville. On November 6th, 2022, Sergeant Nick Vieira received a message from the mother of the child who wished to praise the deputy sheriffs for their efforts, but more specifically, Deputy Jones. She said the doctors informed her that her son was in fact in cardiac arrest, and had Deputy Jones not performed his life-saving actions as swiftly and precisely as he did, that her son would not be alive today. Deputy Jones' quick and precise actions and the expert response by Putnam County Fire Rescue resulted in saving the life of this young child who was just beginning life's beautiful journey. Never let it be said that you can't change the world. Deputy Jones' actions certainly changed the world for this child, for his family, and for our community. Deputy Jones' actions represent the finest in law enforcement traditions, and upon recommendation of Sergeant Nick Vieira, Deputy Jones is hereby awarded the Sheriff's Life-Saving Medal. If you bear with me for just a moment, Jacob, Calvin's father, has just a few words he'd like to share.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just bear with me here. I have a sense of comfort knowing that I'm here today standing alongside the officers that do protect us here in Putnam County every day. And the courageous acts and the heroicness of this team is beyond far greater than I've ever seen in any state or county. With that being said, having the opportunity to meet Mr. Hunter and myself, and him giving me the opportunity to be the father of this beautiful, beautiful boy, I have nothing in this world that I could give to him that would mean as much as it means to me for him giving me this opportunity. And I'm just very thankful for every one of you guys who are out here and working and making sure that our city is safe, making sure our city is stable, and I'm just proud to be here today with every one of y'all. Thank you, guys.
We're not losing the baby.
All right, and everybody look at me. 1, 2, 3.
Great, thank you.
Hard to follow that.
If I may, just a moment, Commissioner Turner, I had just a few more remarks I wanted to make. As I was pondering how to deliver this message today, I was reminded of a quote by Lisa Wingate, and it simply says that our children are the greatest gift God will ever give you, and their souls are the heaviest responsibility He will place in your hands. Take time with them, teach them to have faith in God, be a person in whom they can have faith, and when you're old, nothing else you've done will have mattered as much. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'd like to invite Ms. Carone to come forward, please, for her presentation this morning.
Good morning, everybody. Our Employee of the Month for the month of February is Paige Neely. She is in our Parks and Recreation Department, and specifically she oversees the Aquatic Center. In her nomination form, it was noted that she has not been an employee for, well, she's been an employee for about 2 years, but she has the characteristics and drive and passion of someone who's been a long-term employee. She's always training new staff, reusing the equipment, trying to find ways to save money for our county and still put on an excellent program for our Parks and Recreation Department. So I'm happy to announce she is our February 2023 Employee of the Month.
Good morning, Commissioners and staff. As Sarah said, Paige has only been here for a couple years, but she's now an invaluable asset to the team. She doesn't know what the word no means. She's always willing to stay late those extra hours. She's very helpful. She certainly believes in the motto of team first and is always exemplifying that to the rest of the staff. And so, again, she's just an invaluable asset to the team, and thank you.
Thank you. Paige, would you like to say some words this morning?
Thank you, and hi, Mom.
That was good.
Yeah, you're smart.
Hey, I need your card if you can't say no. I got some things. We going down or we staying up? Okay. We all get him?
I don't know if we can do this now that Allison left.
So we need to be more assertive. You get there, you can do it.
No, not right there. No, you can't, no.
Okay, you want to hand me my comment cards, Ashley? Next, we're going to move into public comment on consent agenda items. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board concerning the consent agenda. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage or debate in deliberation about matters on which the board has received no prior information as part of the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are conveniently placed at the meeting room entrance and should be submitted prior to the meeting to the deputy clerk. To my left, your right, at the podium. First, we're going to call Dr. Joe Savick.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm here to briefly share about a success of yours as well as express appreciation. Clerk of the Court, Comptroller Matt Reynolds, organized a leadership academy, and we're now on our 3rd class. And the county government joined in strong support. In fact, your first 2 graduates from county government were your county administrator and your deputy county administrator. And both of them did an excellent job in class, and it was also wonderful to be able to draw upon their experience, and they were able to mentor students who are earlier in their careers. This type of leadership academy, students enhance their knowledge and sharpen their skills to best serve citizens. They learn about best practices to optimize the performance of government, make sure it's running as effectively and efficiently as possible. And it also helps them grow as leaders and grow other leaders. Your employees very much appreciate you giving them this opportunity. And Clerk Reynolds has made sure that this is open and available to the other agencies. And it's been the collaboration and the relationship building and the team building that occurs when you have multiple agencies together. I also wanted to commend Sheriff Gator DeLoach, who sponsored this leadership program for his agency also. If it involves leading and doing something new and innovative that is going to bring out the best in his team, that's Sheriff DeLoach. I'd also note too, the city of Palatka, has also done this leadership program. And once again, the bottom line when you do this, and once again, it's made possible with your strong support as a board and through county government and with your county administrator. We have some of your employees in class now, and they're doing a wonderful job. But the bottom line is citizens win with this. When their local government is leading at its best and being as most efficient, positive, productive, team-oriented, and effective as possible, the citizens truly benefit from it. And so we are especially grateful for your strong support and your continued leadership. You are one of a small number of communities across this state, the 3rd largest state in America, that provide this type of experience to your employees. And they very much appreciate it. And so thank you very much for allowing me to come over today and just express appreciation, commend and applaud you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. When Mr. Savick wants to come before us in the future, could we possibly get him to give us an agenda item for a presentation? I didn't. Thank you. Thank you for coming today, sir. Next, we're going to ask Ann Wallace to come forward. Morning.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here today to talk about the water expansion.
Wallace, I need you to give your name and address.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Ann Wallace, 134 Bothan Drive, Palatka. I'm here today to talk about the water expansion. And you see here it's $5 million you're asking for the reserves. I just really want for you guys not to rubber stamp this, but rather think about all the things you talked about last year in January when you were talking about using reserves and about really being financially responsible. When I looked at this project, it's really not a $5 million project, but it's a $30 million project with 25% coming from the taxpayers of Putnam County. So when I really thought about it, I wanted to make a couple of suggestions. First of all, and one for you, Matt, we have thousands and thousands, or you have thousands and thousands of people who are now concerned about their own MSBU. And so my suggestion really is that maybe instead of going ahead and having suggesting people hook up to the water mains, is maybe really thinking about some MSBU in there. The other thing is we also have so many pieces of property that are not in compliance with their taxes, and maybe look at getting some of those people back on the tax base before we go ahead and spend $5-7 million on this project. So I'm hoping that you guys will really have a discussion and not just rubber stamp agenda item A. Or not A, the water, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Yes.
So I actually did not plan to pull this from the consent agenda, and I'm just going to tell you that now. And the reason why is because water is our way forward with making our water and sewer development whole. So if this had said sewer, I would have pulled it and voted no. Given that it's water, this is our biggest opportunity to actually recoup some of the costs of things. And then given the fact that the federal government, we're going to get a grant for the majority of it, is another game saver. I don't plan to pull it. I just want to give you those reasons since you brought it up.
Okay.
This item's not on the consent agenda, it's on
New business,
so we
yeah.
are gonna discuss it this morning. It's not gonna be a consent agenda item.
So you guys are just going to pass it? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if we're gonna pass it or not, but it's gonna be discussed.
Okay.
This new business is not just consent agenda.
And that was what I was looking for, was to enjoy seeing you guys have some discussion about this, because I'm kind of late to the party. I've only been here 18 months and trying to follow back, and I watched with great interest a meeting that you had back in January or February last year, and you were and I keep looking at you, Commissioner Harvey, because I think you were the one who was talking about concern with spending reserves, and one of you did, and I don't know if this is reserve money or if it's ARPA money. With all the water stuff going on, it's hard to kind of follow when it's like I say, I've been late to the party. Thank you.
For coming today. Okay, next we'd like to ask Tim Hoteling to come forward, please. And if you would give us your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Tim Hoteling, 105 Riverside Way, San Mateo. Good morning. I sent each of you an email along with Miss Laura, a copy, which basically at the beginning talked about how surprised I was to find that a 5-year contract for Commissioner Suggs was slipped in a consent agenda when, as near as I know, y'all can't talk to each other unless it's in an open meeting, and I don't know that that's happened. I looked at that contract, and there were several things that sort of shocked me, which is basically a 20% increase in salary and benefits when, she was just talking about where are we going to get the money. But that said, it dusted off some old things, and I'd just like to remind all of you that you're representing all of the employees, some 350 employees that work for the county. It's one of them in November had said that she was a systems administrator for 4 years, and on October 25th, 2019, called into the administrator's office where he verbally attacked me and allegedly monitoring my email and calendar. Terry's assumption that I have the time, the desire to monitor his computer activity is false. I reiterate, and she goes on and on. His open hostility and apparent desire to lead through intimidation tactics made me extremely concerned that day, and thus my responses to him were limited. and she quit, as did the infamous Fred Smith letter. Point being, to my knowledge, well, Fred Smith letter, there was an HR director that said, I'll get to the bottom of that one, and little did I know, she got fired within a few days. Y'all have a responsibility to have the workplace the best you can for all of these people that have to suffer through these sort of things. That's all.
Thank you for coming today. Okay.
Done?
For coming, yeah. Next, we're going to move into the consent agenda. And we're going to ask if anybody would like to pull any items from the consent agenda. Commissioner Adams Act.
A, B, and F.
A, B, and S.
F,
F.
Foxtrot.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey.
I have none, sir.
Commissioner Pickens.
I have none.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
I have none.
And I have none.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move approval of items C, D, E, G, H, I, J, and K on the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, and motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Adams Act, item A. Before we start into this one, I want to make a couple of comments. Just because the newspaper printed a story that was very misleading does not make it accurate. They used a 3-year-old salary for what our administrator actually makes right now. I'm not trying to defend my actions as far as what I did to negotiate this contract, but I can tell you this is not what he asked for, and this is not what I asked for. It's a compromise of both sides, a fair compromise. Mr. Suggs makes $156,250 right now. This is less than a 4.5% increase on his 5.5-year contract. Anybody that thinks that's unfair in a 7% inflated economy is not being fair. Part of what was said in the newspaper was the car allowance. Mr. Suggs negotiated with me a car allowance because we've never furnished him a car before. Now, I'd like for somebody to tell me any other municipal leader in the state of Florida, whether it's city, county, or whatever, that the county doesn't furnish them a car or a car allowance. And if anybody thinks that we can put him in a car for a year for $10,000 or $9,600 a year, they're not living in this year, because you can't do it. So it's up to him to make the decision. That's part of the deal, is that he can either take the $800 a month, or he can let the county furnish him a car, whichever one he likes. It's going to take more than an anonymous letter written by some individual who wouldn't even sign their name to it for me to say anything bad about some man's reputation or how he does for this county. I'm telling you right now, I believe Mr. Suggs does well for this county. Do I always agree with everything? No, but I damn sure guarantee you he doesn't agree with me either. So, but he does good. He does good. The other item in there that seems to be an issue was that it was only the chairman of the board that has the right to give him a yearly report. Pardon me? Review. A yearly review. I put that in there because it's not in his existing contract that I'm aware of at all. I think somebody needs to review his job duty, and that needs to be his current chairman of the board. That's who he works the most with throughout the year. That's a prudent thing to do, that he's reviewed by that person. So with that being said, that's the accurate information of what took place and not the conspiracy theory made up side of it. So Commissioner Adams Act.
Yeah, so I'm not going to argue with you. I believe there is a part in the current one that does allow for review, but I didn't bring up the current one too, because that's not what my points are. I believe in our current economic situation that it's not prudent of us to give this particular contract at this time. I think we should hold this contract firm for 2 years and then revisit it at that time. Right now, we've basically been asking our employees across the board to hold still. We've been giving the best raises we can, including the administrator, as far as to try to keep up with inflation. He's gotten the same raises that everyone else has gotten. So I believe we should hold firm where we are today and revisit this in 2 years, if everyone's agreeable with that.
Okay, thank you for your opinions. Anybody else would like to speak?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move approval of item A because it's the prudent and right thing to do.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 4-1. Item B, Commissioner Adams Act.
On this one, I guess I had a concern about the resale of it, and I don't know how our insurance works, but wouldn't the insurance company, if they give us, is that part of the thing, if the insurance company basically pays off the vehicle or gives us something, that they take ownership of the vehicle? Or do we?
Yes, sir, Commissioner Harvey.
We don't insure vehicles for this less of amount, so it's something we.
Yeah, but it says it's the person who hit its fault, so
Yeah.
their insurance, wouldn't they get the vehicle if they pay us a total on it?
Not necessarily.
Well, I think what would happen is.
It just doesn't allow for that in there.
If we ever are able to subordinate subrogate against somebody else's, policy, that money would come back into the same fund that this money would come out of, but it may be years before that process takes place. And Parks and Rec has to have a vehicle unless you want them to ride around.
I was
on a
asking about
bicycle.
the disposition of the vehicle part of it only. So is it prudent to sell the vehicle when they may want the vehicle after they? Okay.
Yeah,
Chairman, thank you. The process that we'll go through is we have filed an insurance claim and we'll continue to pursue that. However, the insured accident involved 3 vehicles, so we are the last in line to receive payment, and we do not believe the insurance policy will be substantial enough to cover it. With that being said, the vehicle has sustained frame and body damage, so it will only be salvaged or disposed as auction for salvage title only, either one as deemed appropriate, and we are not required by law to retain that vehicle. The insurance payment would come in to offset losses that we sustained regardless if there is enough funds, that policy of the insurance policy that's at fault.
Okay. That's all I want to know. Thank you. I move that we approve item B.
Second.
have a motion to approve. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Item F, Commissioner Adams Act.
Item F, I just wanted to say I really support all the things that are on this tour development recommendations and appreciate the work being done there to get these things approved and funded. A lot of local things happening. The one thing I just want to bring up generically is we did get a thing from the Florida Association of Counties in the last couple of days that the Florida legislature is looking basically to change the way the tourist developments work throughout the state. That is a huge concern to me. I've stated several times from here, anytime I think that the state is overstepping into county business, whether it's our county or any county, I think we lose a little bit of our autonomy. I think we need to defend our autonomy at every opportunity we can. And I just would like to ask the fellow commissioners to follow through on that particular Florida Association of Counties thing and show our support for keeping our autonomy in this case. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I approve item F.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item F. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're gonna move into, item 8 on the agenda, new business. Item A is the administration for funding agreement with the Corps of Engineers. And this is phase 1, which is a $5 million grant from, the Corps of Engineers to put in water in the part of the East Palatka-San Mateo Basin, but it is going to cost a 25% match. So basically, we're gonna get $5 million worth of additional water hookups to help our system be sustainable or move us towards sustainability, and we're not having to put any public money in it at all. That's the goal. And we're gonna do it by, we'll have to put up $1.25 million of our money in order to do that, to get the $5 million grant. So, Ms. Young, did you want to add anything at this point, or JR, either one?
Just relative to the funding agreement, today's request is for you all to engage phase one of the funding agreement. Once we receive the counter-executed funding agreement is when we will actually book the funds, both from the Department of Army Corps of Engineers, and where we're going to take the match from. So today's request is simply to engage fund one, or phase one, and execute the funding agreement. There are no dollars being moved today.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Adams, did you have something, sir?
Yeah, I just would like to state my support for this, and the reason why I support is similar to what I said earlier, and I apologize, I mixed up whether it was on the consent or new business. Basically, the water system is our way out of our economic issue with the water and sewer system. So that is where we have to expand in order to get some returns from people paying for their water bills, where it's not putting us upside down. Basically, with the sewer system, we're a bit upside down. We're getting better, is my understanding, but the water is the way to expand to make that better. In this case, we're talking about putting forward 25% to get 75% funded, which further jumps us into where we could become break even or profitable as far as lowering costs and things like that to the overall water and sewer development. I'll say a conglomerate is what I'll call it. So I fully support this, and I've always supported the expansion of water in the county, and will in this case as well. Thank you.
Is that a motion to move this agreement forward?
I motion to move item A, the agreement. Do I have to word it any specific way? Forward as phase one.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move item 8A forward, phase one. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Item B is Parks and Rec. Ms. Young, you taking that, or is
Yes,
Kevin
sir.
coming up?
I got you. I've got it.
Okay.
The county was awarded a FERDAP grant in the amount of $50,000 for work to resurface the existing basketball court, add a small playground, and a pavilion shade sail / structure with ADA parking at the East Putnam Park. This was a few months ago, although the FERDAP application is done, those move very slowly. So we applied for it almost 2 years ago. We've received the award. We've now put together a plan that fits within the allotted dollars. So the plan is simply to be approved by the board so that we can proceed with the procurement of that and make those park enhancements. This it was before the Rec Advisory Board, both before application to FERDAP and after receipt of the grant. So it has been to the Rec Advisory Board twice over the past couple of years.
Okay, is there any questions? Okay, hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of item B under new business for the East Palaca Community Park Grant, $50,000.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Item C is the Jerry Beadenball Park Plan.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. As the board will remember, we had a very generous donation by the Jerry Beadenball family for the community park there in East Palaca, with the conditions that it had to remain a community gathering spot. We have worked with the Rec Advisory Board and with staff to propose a site development for that park. It will include a playground, the shade sail and structure so that the parents and children have a place out of the sun, along with a concrete pad, parking, and fencing, and a bike rack, so that we can, that park actually connects to the trail that's there. So we believe it'll be a great opportunity for a community park there at that location.
Okay, is there any questions? I think it'll be great. I just need everybody to see that as part of this, this is the first, I think the first item that we're trying this on. We're gonna actually, it used to be to get something done around here, it took 4 months. It took a month to talk about it, a month to decide another month to decide what to do. Then when you decided where the money came from, it was another month to figure out, to change the money back and forth, and then a following month to do it again. So it was basically about a 4-month process in trying to make this, and trying to speed things up. Everybody that knows me at all knows that I'm not very pleased with how long it takes for government to do things. And so one of the things that we're gonna try is that we're going to ask staff for a recommendation on different items on where they think it should be funded. This is the first one that we're trying it on. They have recommended that we fund this item out of BPP reserves. And so if we pass this, as part of this, we're going to actually pass where the money's coming from, and then that will save probably 2 months off the time frame to get this project started. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, not so much for this particular case, to see if anybody had any big issues. That doesn't mean, let me finish by saying, that doesn't mean if we want to change it, that we can't change it. It just means we'll have to have another meeting if we change it from the funding recommended to what we would like for it to be funded. Commissioner Adams Act.
Do we know what part of it, and I'm just asking a question for the shade sale, how much is that a part of each of these budgets? I'm just curious of the cost, because I'm gonna ask for one in another location possibly.
The quotes are in there, but so I wanted to make sure I tell you, roughly it's 12 grand plus another 5 for installation. So the shade sails are something that's a substantial, it's hurricane proof, that type of thing, and it's like 99% UV rated, but it is far less expensive option than what a traditional brick and mortar pavilion would be. It's something that we're excited to launch.
I just would like to make a statement after we finalize this, if that's okay, Chairman.
Say again, sir.
I'd like to make a comment after this about another possible project after we finish this one.
Okay. Commissioner Pickens.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say, as far as the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board looked at both of these locations, and if we are able to fund this money for the Beaton Ballpark with the generous donation of the property, we'll be able to have more of a youth-oriented facility there, and then down the road, just less than a mile, to resurface the basketball court and add the amenities there, more of an adult or teen style park there. So I think they should work, nice together, and it'd be nice for both parks in that area. So, so I'll make the recommendation that we approve item item C. Of the Park and Recreations for the resolution for up to $100,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second under discussion. The sailcloth that we're going to use, how much is a replacement cost, do you think? I mean, just ballpark, Julianne. I mean, I know it's hard for
in today's world. I'm gonna ballpark you a number just based on what it costs with the engineered drawings and concrete. If the whole thing is 12 grand, I'm guessing the shade sails 4 or 5 of it. But I am ballparking.
Wonder how long do these things last?
They have a decent life. Again, I could probably pull up that for you.
Okay.
10 years is what Kevin's
Kevin's saying 10 years.
10.
10? Okay. Well, that'd be good. Yeah, $400 a year for 10 years. That's not bad at all. So, all right, good. That's the only question I had. Sorry for not asking it before the meeting. It's just it didn't come to me till now. Okay, so is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Commissioner Adams Act, did you have additional comments?
Yeah, I do. The Johnson Community Park, which is a very small park there in Johnson, has the basketball court, and I appreciate everything Parks and Rec's done to clean it up and put some lines on the basketball court and stuff. But from my experience driving around Putnam County, that is probably the most played basketball court in the county. They're there basically almost every evening and regularly on weekends. There's 2 groups that utilize it on Saturdays and Sundays. They either use the ball field, and thank you again for cleaning up the stickers in the ball field, because they were stabbing all the kids in the legs and stuff. But I would like to ask that maybe we think about whether it's the Parks and Recs Committee, or if we need to even go there, about putting one of these sails potentially at that park in order to give them some shade there. And basically this park really picks up during the day in the summer, once all those kids in that little community are out from school. And So I'd like us to consider
I
that.
certainly don't disagree, but like he said, I believe his comment was, let's send it to Parks and request they talk about it, Parks and Rec. I know that both these other items had gone to Parks and Rec and came out as a recommendation, so.
Okay, we have a meeting Monday, Monday afternoon, we have a meeting, so we can probably throw that on as an extra agenda item, I would think. This coming Monday at 4.
Chair Parks and Rec, Commissioner.
4 PM, yeah.
If you don't mind, I'll come and speak to that bigger part.
Okay, good deal. So, next we're going to, talk about, we voted on that, didn't we, Ashley?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, we did. Then I asked him to talk.
Okay.
That's why I asked Ashley and not you. Okay, sorry, Commissioner.
No, you're fine.
We're gonna move on to item D, which is the, Public Works request to, mill and resurface some of the roads down in Willaca. This is something that's being brought to the board, if I may, and you let me know, JR, but this is something that's being brought to the board because the road won't wait for the irregular resurfacing list. It's in too bad a shape. So it's going to be done resurfacing, and staff recommended that it be done out of the 805.
307.
307. That's why I got to have her with me. The 307 fund, which is.
It's probably the heat getting to you.
Yeah, it probably is. It's hot in here. Anyhow, that fund is the regular road resurfacing fund anyhow, and that's going to be used for, along with that is gas tax fund, along with the Better Place resurfacing money that we put in that will be used for the 23 resurfacing once it's ready. We don't feel like this one will wait until then because it's just in too bad a shape, and we may completely lose the road if we don't move forward. So basically this is resurfacing that would have normally been done on the regular 23 resurfacing list, but we need to go on and do it early. We're going to use the resurfacing gas tax fund, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions or comments on this one?
Just have comments on this. This is in my district, and Sportsman's Harbor is kind of unique. Part of the harbor is in the town of Willaca, and part of it's in the county. The county maintains those roads. Since I've been a commissioner, so it's almost 7th year, I don't know that we've really done much maintenance in there as far as resurfacing. They have had a number of weather events, actually 3 hurricanes and a tropical storm that, were hard on the roads, but also the roads are just deteriorating from their age. So I asked Public Works to go down and evaluate. Mr. Kenny Picano was in the audience over here to the left. He's been very helpful to one of the citizens of Sportsman's Harbor and to evaluate the worst spots that are just crumbling. So I believe it would be prudent to be able to resurface these and get these back in shape so we're not patching them all the time before we lose the roads. We've met with the Homeowners Association a couple times with staff, and I know that Stefan with Emergency Services is working with FEMA, is that correct? Doing evaluation, I'll have JR expound on that just a little bit, doing evaluations to try to get studies down there to see what's possible, along with other low areas in the county, and also with Sam Sullivan getting a grant to do a resiliency report, so to bring back information where we'll be able to apply for grants to be able to do work in these low-lying areas, not just the town of Willaca, but also East River Park, Dunn's Creek, those areas. So, JR, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, we're currently working with FEMA, and I think there's one resiliency study and then a flood survey of the area to try to get those so we can actually come up with a plan moving forward for drainage and the infrastructure. And if we can get some mitigation dollars out of those particular studies, I think that would help. But I just don't think the roads are in good enough shape to last until we get through this entire process. So we're just trying to get them done to where we can, when it comes time to mitigate the area, we can do it one time and for all and have it all fixed.
Okay, and also Mayor Jamie Watts, who couldn't be here today, they supply the sewage in the whole area, water and sewage. And it has issues when they do have high water events or flooding events. So Jamie has applied for grants to be able to rebuild that sewage system. He has put in money for resurfacing to help, so we're not exactly sure what will happen if and when he gets that grant. But kind of working with the town of Willaca with that also, so I don't believe it would be prudent to go in and resurface all of these roads right now, because we may have to go back with the sewer system being put in and cut across, and we don't want a St. John's Avenue effect down there. So, but I think it would be prudent to be able to do this work down there now, you know, to avoid the roads just worsening. So that's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really do appreciate your leadership on this and Commissioner Pickens' explanation. This is exactly why we went to this new format, to move things that need to get done. You know, losing a road or two costs us a lot more money than when we can grab it and go. And just want to say I appreciate your leadership on this new format. And Mr. Chairman, if there's no more comments, I'd like to move this item forward, please.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion to approve and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Adams, aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So my only concern was when we've talked about this particular area in the past, the flooding obviously is one, so my concern is that we do the road before the resilience study's done and all that, and then it turns out we need to do something different with the base or something like that. With the other projects going on, there was also talk when citizens, I mean, a lot of citizens came and spoke to us about this area, about drainage, because individual property owners are blocking the drainage from getting off the road, things like that. Has any of that stuff been resolved, or are we just gonna?
Well, keep in mind, this isn't to repave all the roads in there. It's to repave certain sections on certain roads that if we don't do something, won't be there by the time all these studies are
And
done.
part of our conversation was reverting back to a stone road. I mean, we've had that conversation as well. And that was all based on awaiting resilience studies and other things which haven't come through yet. So I'm a little apprehensive about it, just for those reasons. I guess, do we have any update on, has that landowner knocked down the piles that are stopping the water from getting to drain? Has any of that stuff happened that has been talked about in the last 2 years?
Yes, sir. We actually, in that same meeting we had with the citizens that Thursday evening we talked about the drainage. A lot of them have put in culverts and stuff that needed to be repaired and replaced. We've met with 2 or 3 of the homeowners in the areas where this flooding is happening, and to reshape and reform the ditches and swells in front of their homes and put in new culverts, because that is an ongoing issue in the area, and we have started meeting with them and starting to get the drainage figured out until the resiliency studies work. We know that the biggest thing we're trying to contend with is the afternoon thunderstorm. There's not a lot we're going to be able to do in Sportsman's Harbor in a time of a flood or natural disaster. We're trying to be able to convey the water during a normal afternoon thunderstorm, and we're working a plan now to get that through. And we've met with several of the residents about the things that they can do in front of their properties to improve. Matter of fact, we've got a couple right-of-way permits in there right now for people to take their inverted driveways and convert it to culverts, so we can actually start conveying the water to the area. But yes, we have worked on trying to get a drainage plan put in place in the area.
Okay. Me personally, I'd like to see us be complete with some of that stuff before we move forward with paving it, because I don't want to see new pavement damaged. We've seen new pavement damage like on Hunter Road from little trickles of water. I can't imagine what happens here, but that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Condo, would you like to make any comments? Would you like to make a comment at all? You don't have to, by all means.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Pickens' public comment. Is
Okay,
not
that's fine.
on
I'm sorry.
This time.
Okay.
I mean, out of courtesy to you, I'd be glad to do whatever you request.
We're good. No, sir, we're good.
Okay.
Call for the question.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Oh, sorry, 4-1. My apologies, Commissioner Adams-Ack. Next, we're going to move on to the pole barn at Public Works. Basically, this is to replace the pole barn they started talking about 5 years ago when I got here, and they're just getting around to doing it. This is another prime example of the quick lightning speed timetable of the government. But now we got to this point, so please, I've talked about this pole barn so many times that I dream pole barn when I fall asleep at night. Could
Mr.
we
Chairman, I move
could we
approval
please
of
pass this
item E
pole
on
barn?
new business.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there any seconds?
Badly needed.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously.
You know, when the chairman pleads like that, you have to.
Well, you know, doesn't it frustrate you sometimes to talk about the same thing over and over and over 2 or 3 or 4 times a year instead of just going and getting it done? It frustrates me. Next, we're gonna talk about the Public Works South Putnam Drainage Project, and is that you, JR?
Certainly. Mr. Rodriguez is here if there's any technical questions in it, but with the state appropriation for the South Putnam drainage project, this is to engage a consultant to do the design for the project, which should leave us somewhere around roughly $400,000 for construction. If there's any technical questions in it, we'll be happy to answer them, but this will get the process moving forward so we can get that project completed.
Any questions of Mr. Pickens? I think both y'all hit it at the same time. Commissioner Pickens.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the damage to this outfall ditch actually occurred after Hurricane Ian, and we've been trying to find funding and to repair this. This runs from County Road 309 all the way down to St. Johns River through by a number of houses. The elevation is really high on the south side, and then it's lower on the north side. But this ditch really needs to be repaired. And like I say, we've been trying to move this project forward since Hurricane Ian, which was at least a couple of years ago. I do have heartburn with how much it costs for engineering. From talking to JR this morning, really not able to do this at this time in-house. So this looks like the only avenue to go to get this thing engineered so we can, attempt to repair this. We have applied for another appropriation for another $400,000 or $500,000, I believe. I don't know if we'll get that, but at least we can get this thing moving forward. So I'm in favor for this. It just happens to be in my district, but this thing's been lingering for a number of years, and it's our responsibility to fix this.
I think part of this needs to be that it's been going on so long that it's been asked for a legislative appropriation more than one occasion, and we were finally fortunate enough to get one, and so we need to try to move this project forward as far as we can, and this amount that's being asked for today is definitely covered by the appropriation, so it's not like it's covered out of reserves or general fund or something. So I just thought we should bring that up. Commissioner Wilkinson.
That's actually what I was going to touch base on. And then I also wanted to just say to the people that are in my district, the Northern Putnam Drainage Project is also received an appropriation, and I spoke with staff, and they will be working on something similar to this to move that project forward. So I just wanted to let the listening audience know that we are still working on the Northern Drainage District area, which is out in the Bostwick area. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Harvey.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I'm probably the one that hollers the most sometimes about the prices of the engineering, but I think in this case, we've got a problem and we really need a great solution, and engineering's going to handle that. So I don't have that big of a heartburn over that. So thank you, sir.
Well, I've always complained about engineering around here, but in the realistic side of this, if we don't take some of this stuff out of house, we're just not going to get it done. We've got our pave list for 22-23 being finished up. We're trying to get our 23-24 pave list going. We're trying to get our 22 list going. A lot of that planning is being done in-house. Some of the engineering we're going to end up having to do out, but a lot of that planning portion of this is being done in-house. You just can't, there's only so many hours in a day unless you want to drag these projects out for years. So I'm hoping that we can move some of this stuff a little faster than what we've done in the past. That's a goal anyhow, my goal. Anyhow, Mr. Pickens, was that a motion that you made?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we approve item F.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve and move forward item F on the agenda. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, ayes have it, and motion carries unanimously. Next, we're gonna move into code enforcement. Mr. Moore, there you are.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
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 Ready to start? Case number 2015-506, address is 123 Camellia Drive. Property owner's name is North Florida Management and Restoration LLC. Violation was care premises and unsafe structure. The original fine amount was $62,777. Total cost of enforcement action is $2,057. The property owner has acquired the property back in his name. The property is now compliant and is requesting a fine reduction. If the board approves, we recommend the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a discussion with the gentleman outside about this case, and I guess he is the lien holder and was never told what was going on there until it came to pass. How do we protect those people, or do we have a mechanism? Does everybody get notified, or?
Well, sir, okay, so he was the property owner. He moved out of state. He did a rent to own with contract with the man there. He didn't close at a title company and put it in the man's name that was living there. Okay. And by law, we have to mail it to where the property appraiser has the address, which was at that address. Everyone, you're required to update your mailing address for your properties. So that was the problem.
The key to this discussion, as we've said many, many times, is that we brought a piece of property that had a $62,000, almost $63,000 fines on it. We brought it into compliance, and we can settle for administrative fees, basically, which is $20.57. This plan is working so good. Yeah. We've brought so many places into compliance, and we've reduced the fines as a carrot at the end, and I know there's reasons why people always think they didn't get the right person talking to them or whatever, but we've always, in almost every case, we found out that's the reason, mainly because it wasn't recorded in a way that they could track that person down in order to give them proper notification. If it had been recorded, or a lien that had been recorded, and a mortgage that had been recorded, but that would be different. But also on top of that, I know that if you have a tax problem, that banks actually pay people to go in and do that research every year to make sure that their properties are not being sold for taxes or sold for other issues when they hold a mortgage on it. So I don't think it's the county's responsibility to track down a lien holder that maybe not even be recorded. There's no way we would know that. So is there anybody here today that would like to speak in favor or against this particular reduction request? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Well, I didn't get the motion.
No. Mr. Chairman, I move code case 2015-00506 to pay $2,057 if paid within 90 days.
Okay, now I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries.
It's the heat.
Yeah, I know what it is. The heat frying between my ears. If you're gonna speak, I don't mind, but you're gonna have to come forward to the podium. We're recording the meeting. And give your name and address for the record.
My name is Steve Duncan, 5001 Pine Avenue, Orange Park. I'd like to thank Mr. Moore for the help and the guidance to get the property back in compliance. It's a long story, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I agree. We got one of the good guys working for us here.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Mr. Bohr.
Case number 22-1986. Address is 209 Thompson Avenue. Property owner's name is Leslie Taylor and Joshua Horn. The violation was care premises. Original fine amount was $5,775. Total cost of enforcement action is $1,117. Property owners made the property compliant, is requesting a fine reduction. If the board approves, we recommend the reduced fine to be paid within 90 days.
Is there any questions of staff on this one? Anybody here today that would like to speak, and would you want to speak?
Yeah.
Commissioner? Okay.
I guess my question is, I'm assuming the RV was there to come clean up and then they left, or is that?
Yes, sir, the
RV
RV was there with no tag, so it was untagged. And our code says the RV can be there, so it's compliant.
Because it's
So-
tagged?
Yes, sir, it has current tag.
Good, sir.
Good, yeah.
Is there anybody here today that would like to speak in favor or against this code reduction request? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move code case 22-001986, the enforcement action of $1,117 if paid within 90 days.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Okay, we're going to move
Commissioner,
down.
can we get a couple minute break?
Absolutely. We're gonna take a 2 minutes and 37-second recess. Call the meeting back to order and move into appointments. Any commissioners have any appointments today, starting with Commissioner Adamsack?
No, sir.
Commissioner Harvey?
No, sir.
Commissioner Pickens? Commissioner Wilkinson?
I have none.
And I have none today. Next, we're going to move into public comment on miscellaneous items. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which the board has received no prior information as part of the agenda. Please limit all comments to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are conveniently placed in the meeting room entrance and should be submitted prior to the meeting to the deputy clerk, who is standing in front of me at the moment. And with that, we have Melissa Ray. Melissa, would you like to come forward? Morning. Would you give us your name and address for the record, please?
Good morning, yes, sir. Melissa Ray, 108 Barber Lane, Palatka, Florida, 32177. Okay, so good morning. I think most of you are familiar with myself and my husband by now. We've been in the community actively working towards recovery efforts for probably the last 10 years or so. Within that, under the Nehemiah Project, we have done things like the creation of Recovery Point, the transitional facility that we have here in Putnam County. We've worked with the Sheriff's Department, specifically, mostly Colonel Wells, to help get that recovery pod up and running. And a few years back, we kind of just took a step back from everything and we looked at our community versus communities throughout the state, because at the time I was working for a statewide organization. And we got to thinking, what are we missing as far as supports and recovery capital here in our community? Because it's obvious, I don't even have to talk about the drug problem, right? We know that, it's very obvious. And what we realized is that basically we have desperately failed our youth in this area. So while we were so busy helping adults find recovery and get their life restored and back together, I guess we kind of overlooked the fact that they have children that are growing up in this mess as well. And those children are hurt and they're broken and they don't know what to do with it. And Randy Hedstrom can speak on the fact that there has been 48 expulsions already this year through the Palatka Junior Senior High School due to behavioral issues, violence, many uncontrolled, untreated anger issues in students is what we're finding. So we've done research. We've collaborated with an organization in Jacksonville, and we have come up with this model for a recovery high school. Now the name might sound a little stigmatizing because most people think recovery and drugs, but what we really focus on in the school is bypassing all of the external symptoms of what they're struggling with and really get to the root of what's going on within that child. And what we're finding is that, like I said, there's a lot of anger. There's an inability to communicate what's going on inside of them, and they have no coping skills whatsoever. And so in the Hope Center, that is the recovery school we opened in October, we work with the children. We identify what is known as ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences, and then we work with different community members, professionals, because I'm not a clinician yet. I do a lot of non-clinical work with the kids, but we have clinicians that are also involved, and we create a care plan specifically geared to work with that student along with an educational plan. So not only are we helping them regain the credits that they've lost or have not yet achieved, but we also work with the root of what's going on with them internally so that they can become a productive citizen of our community when they graduate and get their high school diploma. So today's purpose was basically just to inform you of what we've been working on and the need for support, mainly in financial support. I think it was 2 weeks ago, I don't know if any of you've seen, but our organization was actually at the state capitol speaking with our state legislators, our state representatives, and we have 4 that were very adamant about wanting to support the basically a state appropriation to support the funding of the organization. However, as you know, it was too late in the session to get anything started this year. So that is something we will be working on for next year, and there's not a doubt in my mind that that's going to sustain us. However, we currently have 10 students that are enrolled now, and we've already have 5 on the waiting list, because where we're at, we're just not equipped for more than 10. And we need some support to be able to sustain that until the next session when we can get those state appropriations. And so I'm going to be contacting Ms. Laura, to get on the agenda, but I just wanted to inform you and make you aware of it and give you some information as of right now.
Thank you. Commissioner Adams, do you have some comments?
Just gonna, this microphone doesn't work right. Melissa, I appreciate everything you guys do, you know that. As far as, I don't know if you're aware, but the state did approve, and the governor signed off, I think it was yesterday, basically follow the children the money. Now, depending on how you're educating them, they should have funds that come with each student once that, I think it takes
program.
next, I think it's in June, does it take effect? I think it's in June, so that should solve a good portion of your problem per student as long as you're qualified under that. So I don't know if you're using FLVS or how what you're utilizing to teach them, but if you make your own curriculum and separate yourself from the state, then the money would follow the student. If you're just using FLVS and being a warehouse to help the kids, that eliminates that funding stream, I believe. But something just to consider. I don't know if you're aware of that, because I know your head's down in the weeds doing the work you do.
Right.
So I just want to make you aware that they did pass that, which I think could potentially help you. I think it's up to $7,500 per student. So, that's
Yes, sir.
So
The legislators did discuss that with us while we were at the Capitol.
Yep.
And Jeremy actually messaged me early this morning letting me know that it did pass.
Yeah, okay.
And so there's going to be a lot of working through the weeds on anything that passes and seeing, how we actually apply it and use it and make it sustainable for us.
So it
But
should
yes.
come with those students as long as you're not in FLVS, because FLVS, it would stay with the state, is my understanding.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming today.
Thank you, Melissa.
Okay, is there any other comments on the miscellaneous items? Okay, not seeing any, we'll move on to the Honorable Matt Reynolds, Clerk of Court.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Board. Just want to piggyback real quick on what Dr. Saviak said earlier in the meeting and just thank the Board and thank County Administration for their willingness to participate in the leadership program that we started up at the Clerk's office. I think it's been very important to build the team, like he said, but also with our offices working so closely in the Finance Department that it really has been a benefit to the citizens. When things are working smoothly and efficiently, it's a win-win for everybody. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. County Attorney, Captain Commando.
No report, sir.
Okay, thank you. County Administrator, Mr. Suggs.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just real quickly, just thank you for the vote of confidence this morning and for the opportunity to keep working in a community that I've grown to love and with a staff that is second to none and with a board that I absolutely enjoy working for and supporting the citizens of Putnam County. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we're going to go under Commissioner comments, and I'm going to start with Commissioner Adams-Ack and his request to have an animal services discussion. Commissioner Adams-Ack.
Pumping the concrete where my seat sits. So basically, I wanted to have this discussion, and I guess when I brought up having the discussion, it was taken that to go out to the different communities and talk to them and try to get interlocal agreements with the commissioners in those areas. But I really wanted to have a discussion first to see where we want to go with animal services as a whole. And I had an idea that I wanted to present as far as to help with that, as far as our geography is so huge, our manpower is so small. Building the facility is just the step to make their environment better, make the environment for the animals better. It really doesn't do anything to address the issues of animal control through the county. So it's a threefold thing. We need to figure out how to spade and neuter and encourage people through education, as well as doing that. And I think some of that's already happening in partnerships with some of the not-for-profits. We need to be very aggressive in that avenue. I think we also need to take our licensing a little more seriously as far as unlicensed, licensed pets. And maybe the way we do that is if Animal Services picks up a pet that is unlicensed, even if it has a chip and they can find the owner, they shouldn't return it until the pet's licensed and vaccinated, something like that. And I think that already falls within our parameters or requirements of the county. It's just a matter of enforcing that rule. I know in the past, there's been animals that they knew because of the repeat offenders that are returned to the people, things like that. I think we've gotten better on that, obviously, in the last few years, so that's good news. And the thing specific to the working with the communities that I want to talk about before we went and spoke to the communities was I think we should consider having a smaller scale facility in South Putnam and West Putnam, whether that's just kind of like a shed office like we have at the West Putnam facility for the dump, for our, what do you call it, the transfer station, or South Putnam with 20 kennels that are more outdoor kennel oriented as a holding place and as an overflow place, which allows if Animal Services is out there, they can pick up the animal and bring it locally. It should save us in money and transport and other things. It should make feeding and everything else a little more efficient by having these smaller areas. Then obviously any overflow would go to the larger area, or we could even stage it to the, and that would allow people the opportunity to possibly adopt a pet closer to their homes. I think we need to look at this as a wholesale thing, a bigger picture. And if we don't, we're gonna be behind the 8 ball going forward for a long time. I think we already are there for 20 some years. We're making progress. The new facility is the first step, but I think we really need to consider some other, and this is just my ideas. I'm hoping the commission, maybe not in this meeting, but in future meetings after hearing my ideas, has some ideas. And I want to have these conversations before we go to the communities and say what we want to do, because I think it's important that we know what we want the overall picture to look like to drive towards it. So that's the purpose of what I wanted to bring up today, is I think that's how we can move forward the best. And I just want to see if the commission is willing to have these conversations. If you want to further the conversation today, I'd love to. But those are some brainstorming things that I've done, talking to some citizens, talking to some people that work with animals. We also have to figure out a way to partner with these animal shelters and animal rescue places to get the animals out quicker. And worst case, we cannot afford, and this is gonna be scary, maybe I'm committing political suicide. Maybe we have to consider euthanizing some of the animals if they're overflow for way too long, a couple years, and that's something we have to consider. I know we euthanize some that are sick and some that are aggressive, things like that. But if we have an animal there for 2 years and whatever the time frame is, we got to figure out a way to do something with them. Obviously, the first choice is to get them adopted out. Second choice is to get them to another rescue of some sort. Last resort, we have to have a last resort, because we can't afford to not take in an animal that needs to come in, and because we have nowhere to put it. That just puts us in a bad place. That's what I have to say for now.
Okay, thank you, sir. You ready to make your comments?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wilkinson.
Thank you, Paul, for Commissioner Adams-Ack for bringing this forward and trying to have a good discussion about it. You certainly have some good ideas, and I think that we do need to have further discussion. One of the first things that I had asked about when I come on board was about the spay and neuter program, and I know we work with other agencies and other nonprofits, but my understanding on the grant program cycle, that only happens every 2 years, is that correct?
No, ma'am, it's an annual grant.
Okay, so are we applying for that again?
Yes, ma'am, we've already submitted the paperwork.
Okay, all right, so, okay. And then, I'm not against, I think you've got a great idea about putting facilities in other areas of the county. Of course, the thing that we always have to discuss is the funding. But I think that if there's some good spots, I'm in support of that. I think that our staff is doing everything they can with what they have, and that I don't want this to be a reflection on the staff, because I think that we have good people working out in animal control, and they're doing their best. And I just wanted to say that, and certainly partnering with other animal rescues is a great idea as well. So I'd like to further the discussion too, whether we workshop it or whatever we need to do. I agree with you.
If it's all right, Chairman. I want to clarify my comment on euthanizing. The point is this, is when there's an aggressive dog in a neighborhood or at a house and animal services can't get there like on a weekend, and that the sheriff's department gets called, and I've had several, myself included in this, 5-6 years ago before I was on the commission or really active in the community as I am now. You know, the comment is, if you have a dog coming, you feel it's aggressive, shoot it. Well, that doesn't even give it the opportunity to be brought into animal services. It's just getting taken out, and there are people now that are acting on that. I know of 2 in my area in the last couple of weeks that the person just decided the dog was coming barking at their dogs, and they put it down and got rid of it. So I think that's the right thing to do if you feel threatened, but to have the alternative to give that animal an opportunity, if it was picked up on first try, to get the opportunity to be adopted, and actually, if it actually isn't aggressive, it just is barking because it's scared or whatever, I think that's a lot better than just ending it at that second. So that's where my idea came from that. And obviously that would be last resort. I'd love for us to try other things first, and that be the absolute last thing we could possibly do.
Thank you, Commissioner. You done?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Wilkerson, okay. Commissioner Harvey, your comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I appreciate the conversation on this. I do have a little concern of the outside facilities being in the West Putnam or South Putnam, but we can overcome that as we go. When that comment came out, Commissioner, I thought about how people actually go in and break in and steal their dogs back if they're in there. But I think with some interlocal agreements or some cooperation from the outer governments, that might help us out. I do encourage the spay and neuter. You know, what I really encourage is responsible ownership of your pet. Right. And I think that's the, important thing. I had a Labrador for 17 years, and I don't want another one because he was the best one. But he was part of the family. And, and it costs money to take care of. So I would encourage people, if you're out there listening, if you can't afford your pets, we're trying to do everything we can to help you, but you got to be responsible. And at the end of the day, that pet stays with you. When you commit to it, it stays with you. And you should take care of it just like you take care of your family. And my dog was very well taken care of. And that's why we're not getting another one. But I do feel very slighted, if you will, that I have to be asked to take care of somebody else's animals because they don't want to. I would love to do it when I can, but I don't want to be forced to as a taxpayer, and I think that's the responsibility issue that I have. But I encourage this conversation as we go forward, looking at how we can find partners. And just the other day, there was an aggressive dog. I was contacted about it. The dog was chained to a tree, padlocked around him, and the humane thing to do was to put the dog down because it was so aggressive. And one of our residents actually paid for that process to take place because it was the right thing to do. So I appreciate those people that want to be partners with our county and want to help us with this problem that we're facing today. Thank you.
Commissioner Pickens, your comments?
These are closing comments? Okay.
You can have whatever kind of comments you want, sir.
Okay. All right, I'll start with the animal control issues. Commissioner Adamsack, I appreciate you bringing this again. I have personally met with District 1. We have 3 municipalities, and I definitely think they need to be involved in this. For one reason, the city of Crescent City has their own animal control ordinance, and some of it does not align with ours, and we provide that service for them. So we actually have a meeting set up with them in mid-April to discuss that with with their board and city administrator. I have sat down with Mayor Myers and discussed the interlocals. We'll meet with her soon about that, which will include the animal control. But also met with the town of Pomona Park, and one of the suggestions came out of there was a holding facility at our transfer station or landfill. But then who mans that? Who pays for that and mans it? Especially on a Sunday when the facility is closed. So that is a good idea. Also, the animal control, but also met with the town of Pomona Park, and one of the suggestions came out of there was a holding facility at our transfer station or landfill. But then who mans that? Who pays for that and mans it? Especially on a Sunday when the facility is closed. So that is a good idea. Also, the animal control, but also met with the town of Pomona Park, and one of the suggestions came out of there was a holding facility at our transfer station or landfill. But then who mans that? Who pays for that and mans it? Especially on a Sunday when the facility is closed. So that is a good idea. Also, animal control facility. We are moving forward with that. This facility will be built, and hopefully soon, or at least get the finalized drawings done soon. This will help. This will help the overall complexion of animal control for Putnam County, because it'll be a facility that's out where it's accessible, it's near the sheriff's department, and it'll be more conducive for people to come and want to make donations, volunteer, and adopt animals. But still, as you say, Commissioner Adamczak, as rural as we are, enforcing animal control in a county such as ours it is going to be a big issue to address. So I do have a question, Julianne. Where does the Animal Control Advisory Committee fall in on helping us with coming up with ideas and a plan? Because I met with one of the members, Ms. Linda Young, that I appointed, and I sat down with her for over an hour, and I asked her the biggest issue, and it was a spade and neuter program. So I told her to go back to that committee and come up with some recommendations, a plan, not to just come to us and say, we need to improve this, we need recommendations. So that is what that board is tasked with, right?
Yes, Commissioner Pickens, it is, and that conversation did happen at an Animal Control Advisory meeting. There was not clear consensus among the advisory board with any direction that could be agreed upon from the board to bring back to you. So they are still meeting and communicating on numerous initiatives, spay, neuter, adoption, how we incorporate rescues, all of those caveats, as well as any recommended changes that they would recommend to the board, but to date have not brought any to you.
Okay, all right. Well, I look forward to continuing this conversation, and we'll update after we have the meeting with the city of Crescent City. To move on, I just want to congratulate J.R. Newbold and the Fair Authority for another successful fair. I was out of town, so I did not get to attend, but I hear it was well attended, and it's just a great thing for Putnam County with all the different events and the individuals that are involved, from adults to youth. So I just want to thank that fair board. They work year-round to plan that event, and I just want to thank them for their efforts. Just a few years ago at this time, I would be inviting all of the commissioners to meet with me tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock down in Seville to go cut swamp cabbage for the Crescent City Catfish Festival. But since we don't put that on anymore, I'd like to invite everybody to our second annual Dollar for Scholars. It's a fish fry and chicken fry down at Eva Lyons Park this Saturday, April 1st from 11 to 2, and all donations will go to our youth scholarship program and youth sports. So that's all I have. Oh, and the last thing, I just want to say I'm to the point in this commission is that you know that you're going to make some people happy and some people not so happy. But I just want to say I appreciate Chairman Turner's work renewing this contract and working with Administrator Suggs to give him this contract. I agree with it. I think it was appropriate, and I think that the work that Terry has done here has been good for Putnam County. It hadn't been the easiest job. There's been ups and downs. We've been through some tough times, but his leadership has been steady, and I believe he's surrounding him with qualified and competent people to help him move this county forward. And I just want to thank you for your service, and I believe the contract was definitely justified. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Harvey, did you say you had additional comments you would like to make, sir?
Yes, sir, I do. Also want to say thank the Fair Board Authority and all the hard work they did last week. It was a great fair, and we were able to be over there quite a bit. Also for the work that everyone here who helped with the Senior Day Luncheon. That was a wonderful event, and we served a lot of seniors that day. And the fair is one of the highlights of Putnam County, and you can tell by the quality of people that have been on the fair board and are currently serving that they continue to serve this community well, and I appreciate that. Also want to give kudos to Mr. Suggs. I got a call Saturday afternoon. He was here at the office going over emails and things, making sure that work is getting done, and you took time out of your day to come here on a weekend to make sure that there was nothing that fell through the cracks, and that did not go unnoticed. And then Sunday afternoon, I had to call you about a problem that was happening over in the East Palatka area, and you were immediately on it. Your staff works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the citizens of Putnam County, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And I know for a fact when I travel around the state and the meetings I attend, your name is brought up quite a bit. So I don't want to lose you as a success from Putnam County. I want to keep you here, and this contract reflects that. And I hope you will stay until the day you decide it's over with. But you have my unveiling support, and I will tell you that there's not a finer man that I could work with than you. And I appreciate all your hard work and your staff's hard work. And again, you came into a situation where it was bleak, and brighter days were ahead, and brighter days are still ahead. And I appreciate your leadership on that. I do want to touch on one last thing. It was mentioned here earlier today. Home rule is under attack by our legislators, and I don't know how many preemption bills have been filed this year, but a comment was made the other day that one of the legislators, a former legislator down south who is now county commissioner, is just waiting for the bill to come out that replaces all of us and the state takes it over. That's kind of being facetious, but truly, we are asked to do more with less. We're asked to do a job with our hands tied behind our back, and it's getting harder and harder to do that. And I have some grave concerns about the direction that we're going in this state as far as what we can do for the citizens of our county. We're elected here to serve, and everyone has a part to play. And under Section 125, we have a list of things that we need to do as a county commissioner. But please, gentlemen and ladies, look at these preemptions that are coming back. If you have relationships, explain how that's going to hurt you, help your clientele. And I would just ask that you look at that look at the FAC bulletins, Small County Coalition bulletins, and see if you can help with any of that. And I do want to apologize for missing the last meeting. It was actually the only meeting I've ever missed as a county commissioner, with the exception of specially called meeting during a hurricane, and we won't go into detail on that one.
Because you were on a cruise.
Well, it's not my fault the hurricane decided to come a wrong way, okay? And the boat wouldn't let me off. I mean, people, never mind, I'm not going there. But I do want to say that it was one of those opportunities that you have. You know, when the phone rings, you got to answer it. And I'll just say that. And I was invited to attend a meeting with a few other commissioners, with the Senate President and Speaker of the House. And you don't get that opportunity to sit back there in the inner sanctions of those offices often, and you don't get to represent your county often when you do. This year I wasn't able to bring home anything, I'll be very frank with you, but I was able to talk about things that are important to our county and to our organization and to our livelihood. So do apologize for that, and I appreciate your understanding, and I will try not to miss again. But Mr. Chairman, those were my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Commissioner Wilkinson, you said you wanted to make additional comments?
Yes, thank you. I want to really give a shout out to the Fair Authority Board. They did an outstanding job this week at the fair, and so many other volunteers came and helped with that. And, you know, we had a wonderful senior citizen luncheon. We had a wonderful civic luncheon. But, you know, I attended the fair buyers night, Friday night, for our ag program. And we, you know, for those who don't know, agriculture is the second leading economic industry in the state of Florida. And when you go to the Putnam County Fair and you watch those students all week and what they are learning, it is amazing to see the teamwork that they have. It's amazing to see the leadership that they have. And, you know, those kids are out there sometimes till 10 o'clock at night. and they're working, and they're learning so many skills, life skills, work ethics, teamwork building, just leadership. And some of those students have been at the top state levels and in FFA programs and in the agriculture industry right here in Putnam County. And I'm excited that we have them, and I'm just excited that we had such a great fair this week, and so many people should be proud of what happened at the fairgrounds this week. In addition to that, I wanted to let everybody know that we have the Bartram Frolic coming up April 21st at the River Center. I've asked Sam Card to come back and speak about that on our next board meeting, but I wanted to have you save the date on that. And then as the newest county commissioner, I am going around and trying to meet with different offices. I've already met with the constitutional officers. I've met with the property appraiser's office. I have meetings with the supervisor of election and clerk of courts. And I just want to go around and meet staff, see how the facilities are, and just go throughout the county. So if I haven't reached out to you, I will be. And I am very interested in seeing how we can move this county forward in a positive direction. And I just see so many good things happening in Putnam County. You know, we've got broadband coming in. We're bringing in funds from the state and federal level to improve our infrastructure. And we're building relationships in the local government. And I am very proud of that as the newest commissioner. And thank you for that. Everybody who works as a team and moving forward to improve Putnam County, all the nonprofits, and just so many positive things happening in Putnam County. So thank you all for everything you do.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I'll wrap this up by saying, where are we at on the sound system? I thought we were gonna have it fixed by this meeting.
The PO has been sent. We are waiting on the materials to come in so they could do the install. So it should be any day.
Hopefully not too long.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I think it's unacceptable that our microphones squeal. And there's no telling what it's doing to the recording on television. So, also, just to let IT know that some of the monitors up here aren't working again. We're having to share monitors between us. Looks like you got the air conditioning working. That's good. Hopefully we can figure that out finally and get it where it works. We just spent a lot of money on it. I'd like to join Commissioner Wilkinson into praising the fair and the fair committee for the wonderful job that they've done. I think they put on a real successful and very professional fair last week, and kudos to every one of them. As far as the animal services go, I think that wherever direction we end up going with this needs to come out of Animal Services Advisory Committee. That's the first step that it needs to take. If any commissioners would like to be involved in that, I'm sure that the Animal Services Advisory Committee would more than welcome your attendance to that committee for recommendations or suggestions that you may have, and bring them back to here for the final decisions on what need to be made. And so if there's no more comments to come before the commission today,